Well, hey there, sweet peas. Welcome back to Friendless. I'm your host, James Avramenko, back with a brand new interview with my dream guest of all time, the one, the only, Beau Schultz. Beau is an artist of an incredible array of disciplines. They're a model, they're a musician, they're a big thinker, they're a community builder, all that and so much more. It was such a pleasure to chat with them on the show, and I think you're going to love this one. So for now, lean back, get comfy, set your volume at a reasonable level, and enjoy my interview with the one and only Beau Schultz here on Friendless. Beau Schultz, how are you today?
Everybody calm down. Stop screaming. Stop screaming. Chill out. Chill out. Chill out. I'm doing wonderful. I will say my handle is it's important. It's Horstad energy. Um, I honestly don't know where it came from. I mean, I'm a cowboy. My other handle is Cowboy Beau, but
Yep.
I feel like I have the body and stature of a dad, and sometimes have the quirks and aura of a horse girl, and so horse dad energy. It just that's how it came to be.
It's gorgeous. It's
Thank you.
and it's funny too because on TikTok, like you have your username, but you also then have your name, and it
Yeah,
doesn't like when you comment, you don't see which is which. It's
I
not
think
like,
that happens when you're friends.
oh,
Mhm.
okay. So I'm special, is what you're telling me.
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
that is
well,
correct.
thank you.
You're on the
Well,
list.
oh, I love it. So, Beau, we yeah, we'll get into this deeper as we go along, but like we connected through TikTok. Basically from what I remember is like you commented on one of my early videos. We ended up kind of riffing and then connecting, and then ever since then we've just been like popping up on each other's feed. And
Hmm.
I'm wondering, before we kind of dip our toes deeper into that, for listeners who may not be familiar with you, who might not know anything about you, I always open with a very blunt question of, Beau, who the hell are you?
Well, I am. Whew, she's crunchy today. I am a multiracial queer individual living in Vancouver currently. I just moved here. I'm a musician. I'm a
Mm.
photographer, and I am just a person with a lot of love. I'm 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 a good friend. I'm a good friend, and I'm so glad to be on this podcast, because I feel like I'm the heartbeat. I can be the heartbeat of a community. I can be the heartbeat of a group, a crew,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't know. I'm just a big soft Aquarius. I'm Aquarius. Oh wait, yeah. Let me dive into that real quick. I'm an
Yes.
Aquarius sun, Taurus
Okay.
moon, Aries rising, and I'm a cowboy.
Mm.
I'm There's a list. There's the list.
And where are you coming from again?
Just from Victoria.
Just from Victoria.
Anytime
Okay.
people have asked, I've always just said, "Oh, just Victoria," because you'd expect me to have been here a million times already, but no.
Yes.
I've spent little to no time in Vancouver.
That happens. I went to UVic for university, and I was on the island for 5 years, and I think I came to Vancouver twice, and one of
Mm.
those times was literally at the very end of
What area
of
were you in?
oh god, I can't remember. It was like Gordon Head mostly,
Yeah, yeah,
just around the university, right?
yeah, yeah.
I was just talking about it today actually. I can't for the life of me remember what's the really long busy
Pandora.
road. Pandora sounds right. Yes, it runs all the way from, is it not does Shelburne run parallel with it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Shelbourne, Shelbourne, I think turns into Pandora. Yeah,
Maybe
it
that's
like
it.
it merges into it. I was on
Okay.
Shelbourne when I first moved out of my mom's
Gotcha.
place. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Riveting stuff for our listeners. The geography of the city planning of Victoria,
Yeah.
and,
Yes.
but honestly, I feel like, when you because I haven't been back in a really long time. I'm actually going very soon. I'm going for a little trip to Victoria. And I haven't been there in like probably 10 years. And it's always exciting when like people know landmarks, and I don't know. There's
Hmm.
something really, really, really cute about that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I went yesterday just for a $40 afternoon for my mom's birthday. So popped in, we ate burritos. She cried. She knew that I was coming. It was supposed to be a surprise, but then my sister leaked it, and then Still ended up having a low cry when I got in there, so that felt real nice. Hi,
Oh,
Maureen.
oh,
Hey, if you're
Maureen.
listening, Maureen, shout out.
Oh, sweetheart. Um, so what brought you to Vancouver? What brought you to the big city?
We'll have to dip our toes into that a little bit later. We
Okay.
like because there's your second topic that we'll talk about is very much the reason.
Okay.
But the like dystopian, no, not dystopian. Ooh, come on, English
So like
class, come back to
distracting?
me. What is it? Where's the word? Who is she? Foreshadowing. The
Mm.
foreshadowing
Mhm.
I will implement right now is that I spent the good part of my life, like 2006 to now, on
Mhm.
the island, and um, my roots are still there, but my branches have outgrown for
Mm.
sure. And so I kind of moved to kind of go on Beau's big adventure. I just turned 29. And it's kind of been a long time coming. Like I've been talking about it with my friends for like the last 5 years. And then the last two, I've actually been working at my savings and which is ridiculous. When you're paying a grand living downtown
Oof.
and still like trying to save money and
Mhm.
living costs of everything. Oh, I
Mhm.
did that. I fucking did that. So
Fuck yeah. Yeah, it's my god, it's $1,000 for rent sounds like a godsend. I would what I wouldn't do for that extra, I don't want to say how much
yeah,
more I'm paying, right?
but you live alone.
That's true. Yes, I do pay the solo tax, and
Mhm.
I remain really grateful for that. A couple years ago I got divorced, and I basically vowed to myself, barring like either like cataclysmic collapse of my life or like unquestionable this has to happen. I don't think I'm ever gonna live with someone again.
Not
Even
even a
like
partner.
no, honestly, I think I cherish my space too much. Like I think it's too important to me to have like go away and cave time place,
I love time in my enclosure.
right? Exactly, exactly. Maybe the dream would be like we had like suites beside each other in an apartment building or something like that. But
The
like
fuck suite.
literally, right? Exactly, right? We go over to that's the fuck house and this is the
See, I
leave
was
me
gonna
alone
suggest
house.
like a 6 bedroom, and you get to occupy all five, and then there's the one room for your partner.
So that's okay. So this is the thing is that it's like I've always found that like one room is not enough. And that's why it's
Yeah.
like I need space, I need various rooms, I need my own real
Mhm.
home because it's like I have a lot of shit. I have a lot of books. I collect dumb shit because I'm autistic and traumatized and so I just like knickknacks. And on top of that like I also feel like I really like the ability to sort of like float between spaces unhindered and like
Mhm.
unashamed. And it's not like oh they can't see me naked or something like that. It's more like there are times when I am in like zombie brain, and I need to like move room to room just to get my body moving, right?
Yeah.
And I need that to be unobserved. I need
Yes.
that to be just like private time, right?
Yeah. You don't need them
Um,
guessing which crumbs they're sleeping on.
yeah. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I cherish connection and I cherish relationships and when I eventually get back into being interested in dating again, I'm looking for people who are interested in connection, but I don't really want um fixers in my life. I don't want
Hmm.
savers.
Hmm.
I want and in my experience I've never been a partner with someone who either isn't just like outright taking or who isn't like trying to fix, and trying to be like, okay, well, what do we do about this? And it's like sometimes there's nothing to be done. Sometimes it's like I just need to be in this, and I know those people exist. I haven't found them.
There's also an extremely fine line because there's like a level of a fixer where it isn't like somebody who's showing up for you
Yes.
and contributing to the experience and helping to soften the blows or
Yeah.
lay out the pillows for you to have a softer landing. That's the kind of fixer that we need in our lives. That's
Bingo.
what I'm saying. I don't
Yeah.
need somebody that's like sitting there staring at me, asking me what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. What can I do? What
Yes.
can I do? Like just sit with me. Sit with
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. I was just talking about it last week on my kind of wrap up episode, is that like um it's this idea of like if you truly want to help someone who's recovering, you know, like you don't ask them what can they do,
Hmm.
you just be with them, you validate where they are, you don't try to
Yeah, that's
move
right.
them, you don't try to move them away from it or even through it, you just be with them, you know. And that's a really hard thing. This you know, I don't say any of this with like malice or judgment for people who try to fix, right? Like I think
Hmm.
that's a really beautiful impulse, and I think that's a really beautiful, you know, spiritual desire to give to the world. It's just that like more often than not that ends up accidentally putting pressure on the other person to,
Yeah.
you know, it makes them feel like there's something wrong when it's like, well, I already know there is, but I can't, I don't have the energy to get through it, you know, so just let me just be here by myself and don't save me, you know.
Hmm. What is your sign, by the way?
I'm a Virgo. I was actually, as
I
you know.
knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it. I love Virgos. I was talking about this with my sister when she was driving me to the ferry, and I specifically said how much I enjoy like just watching Virgos
Yeah.
because this is gonna make me sound so awful.
No, I
Um
love it.
Virgos tend to thrive on self-sabotage. They love
Yes.
what they do is they turn the burner on, they put
Mm-hmm.
their hand on the burner, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, why is my hand burned?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's so wonderful and complex,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, I love Virgos so much
Yeah.
because sometimes it isn't intentional. They are just really trying to find answers. Like
That's just
that's
it.
really what it is. It's like you guys are the scientists that are putting your formulas into action to see the outcome.
Yep. They're the oh my god, what is the name? Was it Alan Parsons who like helped invent rockets and blew himself up in his garage? I think I have the name wrong, but
Hmm.
there was a guy, he was like he used to like oh my god, I wish I could remember his name right now. He used to like dabble in like alchemy, and like he was like friends with like Aleister Crowley and like kind of dabbled in like occult stuff, but also
Mm.
was like the sort of like the creator of the modern rocket propulsion. And yeah, just a total fucking weirdo. And yeah, blew himself up, literally
Love
like
that.
atomized himself in his garage, you know. And I'm like, you know what, I love that for him, you know.
Yeah, he came to get answers.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
um as you were saying before, and thank you for riffing here, because I was frantically looking up my cosine app of, so I'm a Virgo sun, I'm a
Okay.
Leo moon, and I'm a
Ooh.
Cancer rising.
Okay. Okay.
And I
Okay. Okay.
don't
Okay.
really know what any of that means. I know Virgo.
Mhm.
I also know because of my birthday, I'm sort of a cuspy baby. Because I'm born on the 24th of August, so it's like right on the turnover of Leo to
Okay.
Virgo. I don't know anything about what Cancer it entails, but
So Cancer rising. My understanding. See, I'm going to say this so that anybody, if there's an astrologer, please don't step on my neck. But your sun is who you are. That's your personality. Your moon is how you process your emotions, and then your
mm,
rising is how people interpret you when they first meet you.
mm.
Cancers, Cancer men, uh, they have they they're very mm, choose your words kindly.
Or don't,
uh,
whatever.
Cancers love to debate. They
Mm.
love to like they're like they stake their claim in the thing that they love. Like
Mm-hmm,
if their
mm-hmm.
favorite color is red, they'll tell you why red is the best color,
Yep.
and then they don't mind throwing punches at blue. They're like, "Oh, and
Mm.
blue sucks because of this." They're very
Ironically,
much
ironically, in my head, I was like, well, blue's the best color, so let's debate. But
yeah. So like that's how people first like perceive you when they first meet you is
mm,
is that energy of a Cancer.
gotcha.
My
Histrionic,
rising
I
is
think, is the word.
Aries, which is like
Oh, yeah. I
I
don't.
leave people with long lasting impressions, and that comes from a fear. When I was younger, I had a pretty big fear of like being forgotten, and I feel like
Mm,
that's like been a huge contributor to my personality,
mhm.
and why I tend to be so boisterous. I mean, also like I'm 6'2", I weigh 100 pounds, like I'm a huge being, and so it's like my shelter comes within taking the air out of the room before anybody else can say anything anyways. Now I've heard it
Sure.
all. I've heard it all. Um so that's like my Aries rising is very much like I've had there was this one story where this girl was like, "Remember that time when we first met and you threw a shoe at me?" I do not remember, and I've apologized, and we're good to this day, but damn, okay.
Yep, yep. Now, wow, that's how young were you? Do you know how old you would have been at the time?
It would have been like early 20s, like maybe
Mm,
even 19.
mhm. See, I feel like anything, at least in my biography, anything from about the age of like 16 to, you know, if I'm being really honest, like 36, but like, more like 29, 30. I just feel like all of that needs to be taken with so many large, like rock salt,
Ooh, yeah, the
like,
stuff they put on like
yeah,
cookies.
like big chunks of rock salt,
Mhm, mhm.
just because it was like I was unmedicated, I was untreated, I was undiagnosed from anything. I was just out in the world, traumatized and not even knowing it,
Yeah,
and
raw
and
dogging it.
so yeah, right, so it's like I'm so sorry to everyone and anyone who I cross paths with in that 15-year block, you know.
Yeah, I had a phase. There was like a little local dive. You might have been to it because you lived Brickyard Pizza.
Oh
That was
yeah,
like that was my stomping grounds like for
yeah.
my early 20s. I knew half the staff, so it was just like free beers all the time. Like every so often I'd
Mm.
like help them out, like shred their cheese and
Yeah,
make boxes and shit. But I've definitely apologized for that phase in my life because I wasn't necessarily bad, but I was just that was like my party phase, and it
yeah.
was a silly time.
Yeah, I was intense,
Yeah,
like I was very intense.
yeah, like camping.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just
Intense.
okay, that's our show. Thank you for coming on. No.
Bye, everyone.
So my core question behind the whole show really is this exploration of what does it mean to be a friend? And so I'm really curious, in your perspective, what does being a friend mean? And because you are a brand new friend, I want to add a little bit of a secondary question to this that will loop back to of what do you look for in friends? Sort of like how do you judge if you want to be friends with somebody or not?
Okay, well, you gotta. I'll sprinkle in a little bit of lore so that you can get the full picture. I come from a religious background. I
Mm.
also come from a split family, and also like uh moving, and so uh all that kind of like early life in Prince George, where I'm from, is almost erased in a way. That was where a lot of like my trauma and stuff happened, and then I moved to Victoria, and I was involved with a Christian school and Christian church up until about a Christian church. Oh, um, spaghetti bolognese. Like,
Yeah,
okay, redundance.
jacket
Let's
coat.
go.
Yeah.
Um, but I left maybe in 2016. And so most of my foundation of friendships, uh, give and take, are from 2016 on. So they're
Mm.
very fresh and very new still.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and I've done a lot of growing. I've put in countless hours because I lost my dad back in 2015, 2016 as well. Or no, it was a little bit before that even. Give or take. My dad, he ain't around no more.
Yeah.
Um, but but that was kind of the beginning of the end of my religious career, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so I have very few friends still from that kind of era of my life, but the ones that did stick around and saw me through coming out and all that stuff, they mean the world to me. I've gotten to work with them in really special ways over the last couple of years. But anyways, that's the abbreviated lore drop. But a friend to me, or what friendship means to me, is like being willing to grow with people, being willing to step in front of their path when you need to, when the time is right, and you have to like steer them away from something, but also understanding that there is a limit to how many times you can do that, where you
Mm.
can just remove yourself and just be there waiting with your arms open for them to fall back towards you, and kind of like see them through that process. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lovely game of hopscotch boundaries, you know. um
Yeah.
trying to sort out like your needs and somebody else's when you're not in an intimate relationship, and when you're fostering a sisterhood, or a brotherhood, or friendship in that aspect. I've got
Yeah.
like the most wonderful core group of girlfriends. We have a group chat called Swim Team. I miss them so much right now. Um, and yeah, we have been to hell and back countless times with each other, for each other. And it's like, yeah, it's only been since 2016, but these friendships are like the big the big ones, you know, the ones where it's like, who's giving me away at my wedding, and who's who's standing up there beside me, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
No, 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 no. That's the beauty of the podcast. A podcast is literally invented to just prattle on,
Yeah.
which is, which isn't what you did, but I'm saying you're allowed to, right?
Mhm.
Um, um, I think that's wonderful, and that's something that you know, I'm realizing in recent months that I do have those friendships, and I do have
Mhm.
those kinds of connections. But for a very long time, I kind of framed myself as not having that type of relationship in my life, and always really kind of almost grieving it,
Mhm.
I'm really curious in your experience, like what do you think are some like sort of core steps to fostering those kinds of connections?
um Finding the ability to like truly be yourself, and that one has been such a battle for me. I knew I was queer from a very young age, and I was still involving myself in the church and living this like double life. And so I've like slowly begin to peel back the layers over these last couple years, um to being more authentic. And like, I have the word facade tattooed above my knee to like
Mm,
remind me not to be a people pleaser, remind me to like be real with my emotions, and my needs, which has been like a really really big battle. But
mhm,
you really have to like own yourself, and own your downfalls, and own your like good moments as well, to really like actively be a good friend as well. Like
yeah.
it doesn't mean that you have to be on every single day. There are so many days where I'm just like in my bed and hoping nobody contacts me, and stuff like that. And there's also times, being an Aquarius, it's like
Mhm.
sometimes people will be venting to me, and all I can really do is they're there, like just give
Yeah,
them a little, like I can't fully be in it. But yeah, it's a, again, it's like a tug of war. It's the hopscotch.
yeah,
It's all these like kid references, really.
yeah.
um Navigating friendship, and like being there for people.
Yeah. There's something
Mhm.
really beautiful behind that though, in this idea of like, I was talking about this with my therapist recently about this idea of like he was saying like sometimes when you're, dysregulated or looking for like sort of like co-regulation or things like that, he recommended sometimes I go to some of my less trauma informed friends. and sort of
Mm,
let them almost like lean into what isn't an invalidation, but what is sort of like a sort of like he had a good word for it. I can't remember right now, but it's like in essence, it was almost like a disinterest in unpacking or getting really deep into it, right? Because
mhm,
I have some friends who are really trauma informed. So when I come to them with like, my mental illness is doing this and da da da, we get really deep into it. We really unpack, But then I always end up feeling I shouldn't say always, but sometimes I end up feeling even more exhausted after those conversations. Whereas if I go to like, my straightest friend and I tell him about some kind of trauma and he goes, "Wow, that really sucks. Did you watch the hockey game last night?" And it's like there's something really like gorgeous about that because it's like it's not invalidating. It's still we're still connected. He's still validating my feelings, but we're not like digging the trenches,
mhm.
and sometimes that's really helpful, to have those sort of almost like layers of friendship, right?
Yeah, I feel like I need more straight men friends because,
Well, no one does, but
yeah, yeah. I think one of my favorite experiences as a queer person is uh, drunk straight men. A lot of the time, uh, you're drinking, you're having a good time, everybody's just like vibing, and they find out that you're queer. They're like, yeah, yeah, I did a gay once. It's like, Uh, uh,
fun. Yeah,
great. Thank you
yeah,
so much for telling me. As the
yeah,
gatekeeper of all things gay,
yeah.
I'm so grateful. I see you in a completely different light.
Yeah.
I love I also
We're
love
gonna
those
log
friends that
that
are
in the
like,
ledger for you. We're gonna go back to the big book and we're gonna mark it down.
yeah, yeah,
Chad did a gay
safe.
once. Yeah, yeah.
Did a
Safe
gay once.
ally.
Those ones and the ones that are like, uh, I don't care that you're gay, just like don't have a crush on me, and it's like
Yeah,
cut to them and it's that like
not hard.
SpongeBob foghorn foghorn noise. Hey wah.
I had a really fun one at we'll go sometime. This place called the Fox, and this guy up front struck up a conversation with me. I was minding my business. I was outside
Mm.
smoking. He struck up a conversation with me. Halfway through, he just stops dead and is like, something along the lines of like, by the way, like I'm not gay, so I don't know why you're talking to me. And I was like, oh, okay, bye. Like I just full on just dropped the conversation and left. And he was so confused by everything. But it was just one of those like, where where did you feel like where did this compulsion come from? Where did you feel this need
Mm.
to say that?
Men need validation.
That's true. Okay,
Yeah.
that's true. No, that's a good point. And I guess that is really, maybe that was a failing. Maybe I failed him that night. Maybe I could have
Yeah.
been softer. But there's just moments where again I didn't have the capacity.
Period. And you're allowed to. Um, how has this podcast like affected you? Like, what has been kind of like your biggest uh takeaway from all of this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've actually been kind of contemplating it a lot recently. When I started the show, like the initial kind of gimmick of the show was every week I would interview someone from my Facebook friend list, and we would, talk a little bit about our history and stuff, and then we would unfriend from Facebook at the end of the interview, and we would sort of like decide how or if we were going to stay in touch. Um, and then it grew into this exploration of connection and what it means to be a friend, and what I've realized is that journey of the show has also really mirrored my own personal journey of self-discovery in myself. I recently had a uh, psych evaluation. I talked about this last week a little bit on the wrap up about like I basically was diagnosed with borderline, with BPD, and prior to that, I'd been diagnosed with CPTSD. I'd been diagnosed with ADHD, autism. Like I'm in my stand up. I'm working on a bit that talks about how I've been slowly assembling like what looks like a ransom note of letters
Mm.
I'm like cutting out all the letters, and I just haven't figured out what the demands are yet.
Yeah, it's very Dragon Ball. It's very Thanos.
yeah, exactly. I gotta collect all the mental illness stones,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Then I can snap myself out of existence. But
You're
uh,
welcome for that one.
thank you, thank you. Um, but so as my own personal self-discovery has gone on, the show has really morphed, and it's become this deeper understanding of, in order to be as good a friend as I want to be for people around me, I have to
Mhm.
learn how to be a good friend to myself first. I have to learn how to unconditionally love myself before I can unconditionally someone else.
Period.
And that is really fucking hard.
Yes.
Right. And I get because of my various disorders, I can get really excited and impulsive about something, get really hyperfixated, and then drop it and kind of forget it. And unfortunately, that often happens with like mental health discoveries and things like that. So I'll get really
Deep.
deep into it, and then I'll forget about it. If I'm not having that consistent reinforcement. And
Mhm.
a couple of years ago, I got really, really heavy into Ram Dass, and I became obsessed with the saying that he has of, "There's only two things you have to do in this world, and that's love everyone and tell the truth." And that's it. And then the joke is, he's like, "That's the easiest thing you'll ever say and the hardest thing you'll ever do," because
Tea.
it's like, how do you unconditionally love anyone and everyone, and how do you find a way to do that, right?
Mhm.
And that really has become one of the sort of spinal philosophies of the show, is like finding ways to, you know because like unconditional love doesn't mean unconditional forgiveness, it doesn't mean unconditional allowance, and it doesn't mean you get access to my life unconditionally. It means like, yeah, I love you, go away, or I love you,
Yeah,
come on in, right?
yeah.
I still believe in your humanity, I still believe in your right to, to live and exist, but I don't need you around.
Yeah, yeah.
um and I think this show has really helped me through all the different interviews and through all the different connections, and through not only reconnecting with old friends or just meeting new people and having them and hearing their stories. It's really shown that, like, one, my experience is not unique, and I am
Mm.
not special in any way, shape, or form.
That's
I
right.
Right, and that's wonderful, right? It's that thing of like, if we're all special, then no one's special, so what does it matter? Like, why not
Yeah, I
just
don't need your
try to
participation ribbon.
exactly, because at the same time too, like, just because it's not a special experience doesn't mean I don't have a unique perspective on it, and I can give
Mm.
that perspective, right?
Yeah.
So it's been really, yeah, it's been slowly but surely very encouraging and very reinforcing of my own kind of journey. And I get to say fuck a lot, which is always fun.
I have a follow-up question that might
Please
be fully redacted. Yeah, totally.
give it.
Um, have you ever like burned a bridge after a session?
Yes. Yes, actually several. Not
Say
necessarily
their
like,
names. Say their names. Say their.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Uh, some of them are still on the feed, some of them are not.
That was also my
It
follow-up. Follow-up. I was
Yeah,
gonna
it's
say.
never, I would say it's never been like the recording ended and then it was done kind of thing. But like, there's been a few where it's like very soon after the recording, there was just like that's enough of that, from both
Mm,
from both, both directions, like, and this is not me, trying to play the high and mighty horse or the victim. But like, stuff played out at the end of last year and the beginning of this year that necessitated that I uh, get away from a sizable chunk of what up to that point had been my whole social life and my whole
mhm.
community, and so, yeah, like, lost a lot of connections relatively recently, and yeah, and they are still on the feed. uh so yes, I have, and it is not fun, but it's necessary.
I'm gonna go through all of them and then go through your following list on Instagram and then start
See who's
a
blocked.
counter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna start a counter podcast. It
Re-friendless.
re-interviewing them.
Follow-ups. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, what's wrong with you, and why did you stop being friends with an angel like James? But
Mm.
That's better be
That's
your
always the first
opening.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm going to start out blunt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What's wrong with you? That's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Um, so we alluded to it earlier in the episode, and I want to circle back to this because I'm really curious now that we've done
Mhm.
some foreshadowing. You know, speaking of the sort of continuation of the show, this is, you know, it's no longer a new question because but it's new to this season, which is these questions of community, and you know, if friendship is the sort of like one-on-one, community becomes the sort of outcropping of that or the
Mhm.
blooming of that, and so out the gate, I'm really curious, what does a word like community mean to you? And then I want to kind of build out from there.
Yeah. Community is a funny one. Um, Community is like a group of individuals. It is uh, people like working towards a similar goal or similar interests. That kind of sort of vibe. And so it's where you find like-minded people that kind of complete puzzles, and uh, community can be so vast, and there is like just with like race and gender and sexual preference and sexual orientation and all that stuff. Like communities are massive, and uh, yeah, I feel like no one person is set to live alone. Like we
Mhm.
need communities. That
Mhm.
might. I feel like it may or may not be a hot take, but yeah, I just feel like a life of solitude would lead to a shit time. Like
Yeah. Well,
I was
I mean,
trying
I
to
don't
think
know
of
the
some.
stats. I don't know the stats on it, but I do know that people who live alone have shorter lifespans or expected lifespans, right? Like
Love that.
we're definitely a social monkey, you know.
Hmm. Absolutely,
Um,
yeah.
and so within that sort of parameter, like again, I think it's this idea akin to the friendship question of like, how do you find yourself fostering community, and how do you both, like, how do you show up within community, and how do you want others to show up within your community?
I am like I like to think of myself as like a Swiss Army knife of a human. I'm like a connector. I bring people together. I've set up a bunch of lovely couples. There are children born because I set people up.
Beautiful.
I married two of my friends as well. I'm not ordained, but they got it legally done, and then I did the ceremony, which was really fun and stuff like that. So I'm a joiner. I'm a community builder. I like uh, to have people with different aspects and abilities and stuff, and the far-fetched goal is like if I am to ever make a name for myself, I have this back pocket of people that I want to take with me to show off their
Mm,
skills, show off and celebrate them, as opposed to people that are already in any sort of industry. Like I would rather be with people that I trust. And so um I find myself, yeah, doing my best to cultivate and build community and meet people where they're at. And so community is very, very important. And I guess I can roll it into like moving. Moving for me was like it was a community issue. I don't
mhm,
have issues with like my friends at all. They are so wonderful, and those parts of those communities that I'm a part of, just with like art and photography and music and just like being in those spaces has been wonderful. But the queer community has been a difficult one for me because being plus size, especially in Victoria, is just like not a thing. I
mhm.
have I've spent my almost my
Goddamn
entire life.
twinks.
Yeah, it's what the fuck do you have to offer? No, I'm kidding. I have a lot of wonderful twink friends. I have a
I
twink
co-sign
ally.
that.
Yeah. but um but like that, being that I am somebody, I'm Cupid, I'm setting people up. It's been an exhausting thing for me to be player one this whole time, and I've lived almost my entire life single. And so uh it was part of the reason why I moved from Victoria was because it's just exhausting. It's so exhausting to have this desire for love and community and to see it happening in front of you for so much of your life, and then also like it because I was like I grew up bullied and all that stuff, it leaves so many questions in the mind. So I decided to move because the queer community just let me down. There are great
Mm.
pockets and wonderful people there, but they just lack an understanding that there's more to beauty than
Yep.
just the simple things. And so I knew that there are bigger communities here and more opportunities for my art and music and for just like the potential for finding a partner and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
it is selfish in a good way because
Mm.
I'm at the age where I'm allowed to be, but
Hell yeah.
also it is I understand that it is like a little bit silly. I get it. Like
No.
if anybody wants to judge me, feel free. Like I
Well,
don't
yeah, that's
care.
just it. Well, that's just it. Who gives a fuck, right? Like, I think these are
Yeah.
I think those are beautiful reasons, and I think in my experience of Victoria was that it was very much like an incubator city. It was a place where you sort of like you develop some things, you start figuring out what direction you want to go, and then you get out and you go
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
else to sort of like So it sounds to me like you're just on the trajectory you're supposed to be on, and I
Thank
think
you. I
that's
appreciate
really
you saying that.
exciting. Um,
Hmm.
I had a really nice kind of eye-opening moment at last Pride in last August in the Vancouver Pride, where I realized that like the queer community is much larger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can feel very insular and very cliquey and very like small, but there is a lot more than just a couple people who show up at the birdhouse and judge you,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's really exciting. And
Uh-oh, I'm going to an event there this Friday.
oh, I mean, it's a blast. Don't get me wrong. I love the birdhouse. I
Their new
just
little
depending on the
warehouse
night.
is what I'm going to.
Hmm.
There's some crazy bear event, and so I'm just like I'm
Yeah,
so excited.
I was I oh my god, this is not going to be interesting to the listeners, but I was totally going to go to that, but then I got offered a spot on a at an open mic to do like to practice some stand up. So I'm going to go to that. But
Well,
I may end up going later to the event to the birdhouse. So we'll talk about it after. But
yeah, because
yeah.
my outfit, you will die. It is.
Oh, I'm so
I,
excited.
I picked it out last night, and because it's camp themed, the
Yes.
only hint I will give you is Boy Scout.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's it's gonna be my first like night out here in Vancouver as well. I've been
yes.
very to myself and very
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. That's one element of the community that I have yet to really lean into is like really getting expressive with my clothing, really getting vampy and campy. I'm such a sensory baby that I'm
Mm,
just like I kind of have to just like go in like comfy jeans or like actually God forbid jeans, more like like Dickies or something or just like slacks and then just like a nice calming t-shirt,
mhm.
or like a comfort cardigan, which is just like so not the vibe.
I've
Um
been getting more into fashion because I'm
mhm,
like I'm also definitely on some spectrum. I do know that I have diagnosed ADHD, but I'm
mm,
raw dog in the world. But I
mhm,
truly feel like there is some aspects of an autism sprinkle here and there. I
sure.
have just gotten into jewelry and my ears are pierced
Mm,
and everything. My
yep.
favorite part of the day is getting home and taking them all off. Sometimes
Yeah.
I will be on the bus and I will start like if I'm wearing my overalls, I'll just start tucking it into the pockets and I'm like,
Yep.
future Bo will deal with this, but holy shit, get this off of me now.
Yeah. I'm that's so funny. I'm in the exact same boat. I only pierced my ears for the first time the last fall and have gotten way back into rings. It's actually funny that I'm not wearing any right now. But I have almost like a ring for not every finger, but just about. And I love them throughout the day and I'm always fiddling with them. They're such a good little like,
Yes,
built-in kind of tactile thing. But also, oh my god, the even though I love them so much when I'm out and about and I'm fiddling, the best part of my day is taking them off. It's
it's
just
the
that
same
feeling
as
of like,
socks and
ah,
everything.
right? Yes.
Yeah, I only just got rings because again, Victoria is also like just not size inclusive at all.
Yeah.
I've not been able to find anything. And then I come here and go to a flea market and I found this girl that makes rings. Her and I are actually going for a coffee soon. See, networking. See, Swiss Army human.
Beautiful.
But I bought 3 rings from her and now I'm at 4. So
Hmm.
they're perfect. I need to find something that will go with my, I've got a flame tattoo.
Cute. Yes.
Um, so I need to find something that will go with that. I also just got this like boot and I just,
Oh my God, I love it. I
yeah, I'm
love
a
it.
cowboy.
I love accessories. They're so much fun. That's the
Yeah.
best part, is just like getting to lean into all the fun shit, you know? Like,
Accessories and a smell are like what really finish the
yes.
outfit for me always.
You know, it's funny, like on TikTok, I keep on getting these like really fucking dickheaded comments on people, on video. It'll be something completely unrelated. My a video about like flushing with the lid down, and people will be saying, "Oh, I won't listen to you because you're a man who paints his nails and da 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 da," right? And like most of the time, I just delete them because who gives a fuck, right? Like
Mhm,
every once in a while, I'll come up with a funny reply, but most of the time, I just ignore them. But really, what goes through my mind is like, what a boring life you must live. How much you're missing out on that you don't even realize,
mhm,
like, do you know how fucking fun it is to paint your nails? I don't give a shit if you suck dick or not. Just like, it's fun to paint your nails. It's fun to put on rings. It's fun to put on,
absolutely.
fucking makeup and jewelry, and like, why would you so willingly cut yourself off from
Mhm.
such a joyous expression, when there's not that many chances for joy these days?
Yeah, I think one of one of the biggest things for me in my little life is giving myself permission because like I wouldn't say I was raised strict, but like um I was raised by a black mom and
Mm,
I and I was raised religious and stuff like that. And so there is a lot of hand holding and asking first. And so over the years, like I've been slowly giving myself permission and like treating myself to things. Like I love blind boxes. I love Sanrio
mm,
characters. So I've been like
mhm,
leaning into that little healing of my childhood
mhm.
and and stuff like that. And I feel like that has also just like helped me mature as like a human and as a friend is
Yeah.
being able to allow myself things that I wouldn't before, may they be physical or even mental. Like there's a
Mhm.
lot of permission I am or am not giving myself. And like when I'm refusing myself, it is like blocking from my potential and my greatest happiness, you know?
Yes, 100%. That's
Essentially, I said that to a boy. I said that to a boy who's never gonna hear this podcast, but him and I were like there was something going on and then he is in a straight relationship
Mm,
and I know who he is and how he is. And so
mhm.
we recently parted ways for permanent. And
Yeah.
I said to him, I said, I hope you learn to um, allow yourself your greatest happiness. And that
Mm.
literally was just me saying, "You're a faggot." you you can either cut or censor that because I know that that word is very
Ah, uh, but what's so funny is that like that is directly related. You can see in the background of my shot, that's directly related to like, I've started collecting action figures again. I've started collecting stuffed animals again. I've the same thing with rings. Like, yeah, like
I
these are
keep
things that
those
I
motherfucking things on me.
Oh yes, like, oh my God, they're everywhere. They're all over my place. And it's like, these are things that brought me so much joy at a time when I was being most traumatized.
Yeah.
And so by reconnecting to those things and rediscovering that it wasn't all bad, that there were
Mhm.
these moments of joy and these moments of safety that, for the most part, I created for myself. But isn't that a great lesson too? Of like, yeah,
Yeah.
I've always kept myself safe, and I'll always keep myself safe. And by allowing myself to not only collect action figures, but also display them proudly and openly, and like invite people over and be like, yeah, these, look at my guys,
What's
right?
the oh, wait, there is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I see
Oh
that.
yeah, there's a whole the all four Ninja Turtles back there,
Hell
plus
yeah.
Casey Jones.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of horror. I've got Dracula and Frankenstein and Wolfman, Freddy Krueger, Ghostface, Chucky. I've got a bunch of wrestlers back there. I've got a bunch
Mm.
of like Bret Hart and Kenny Omega and Eddie Kingston, the greatest wrestler alive. And and so it's just like even that, allowing myself to vocally and openly celebrate pro wrestling.
This
Like
is also one of the things that brings me the most joy.
mm,
Is somebody else's passions.
yeah,
I love watching people speak about their passions.
yeah,
Like again, situationship. This guy
yeah,
was like really into cars, and anytime he talked about it, it was just like, I don't know, I don't drive,
yeah,
I don't care, but at the same time, like I care that you do.
yeah,
Like I it's so beautiful and wonderful human connection. I
yeah.
love seeing people get fired up.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, 100%. The, I dated this girl a little bit at the end of last year, like in November-ish, and she did this incredible act of generosity where one night we were hanging out at my place and she literally asked me to like walk around my apartment and tell her about every like piece of memorabilia I had. And it took like an hour and a half, and of course I'm fucking autistic, so I was just like like just going on. But like it was just so generous, and she had the similar thinking behind it, like as you said, where it was like it's fun to watch people be happy, and it's fun to watch
Mhm.
people talk about what makes them happy,
It makes me feel like
and
Winifred from what's that fucking the Sanderson sisters. It's a Disney movie.
oh my
They're
god.
witches, but
uh
she goes
uh
hocus pocus, hocus pocus.
okay, yes. I was like,
When
which witch?
people are
No, yeah.
happy and passionate and stuff, I'm like,
Yes. Yes,
I'm
right.
sucking it from them. This isn't about you. This is about me now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%.
Do you find Vancouver to be unfriendly? As somebody who's new here, I have seen those memes. I even commented on a C bus memes one time. This is really funny little moment I have, and I said, "Oh, I'm moving there so soon. I'm really I don't know if I should be excited or nervous." And then I don't know if you've seen any of Riverdale,
Yep.
um, but Cheryl Blossom's mom,
Oh, no way.
she comments on it and she's like, "You should be scared," and I'm like. And so I commented back, and I forget her character's name, but I used her character's name, and I was like, "Well, what are you doing here?" Like,
Warning. She's like the
yeah,
troll tool. Yeah.
but yeah, do you find Vancouver to be a hard place to make friends, or just like unfriendly?
Deeply. Yeah. Incredibly so. And I think that there is a veneer here of I think that everybody is terrified because it's so fucking expensive, and so everybody is so fucking stressed out. But there's also this this need to look like we're in the coolest place in the country, so everybody
Mm,
has to put on the facade of, oh, I don't care, I'm too cool for school. And deep down they're actually just stressed the fuck out, and so I
hmm.
think that that makes people deeply unfriendly and really really um cliquey, right? Like it's really hard to
Yeah,
break into groups, and even if you do, like it's really easy to lose not only one person but a whole group. You know what I mean? It's really
yeah,
easy to get cast out again, right? Because you don't have the same sort of like sunk cost fallacy as well, I've known them since 2013 and I've only known you a year, so get fucked, right?
yeah.
Um yeah, I think that there's pockets of really beautiful potential, and I think that there's good people everywhere.
Hmm.
It's not a uniform thing. I just think that there is an underlying culture here of stress and of desperation. It's almost like people are in a scarcity mode, and so
Yeah,
it becomes a lot harder to create genuine connection, especially when, in my experience, the people who are really genuine are also like so far up their ass with like frou frou, new age, white girl yoga stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like
North Van.
Yeah, right. So it's like
Look at me, I know stuff.
right. Hey, you're getting there. So it's like it's tough, right? It's tough. It's like I said, there are good people, but my closest friends are people who I've held on to through the years, and we've just happened to luck out in being in the same city at the same time.
Well, buckle up, bitch.
That literally, I that so, and then I will say the flip side is where I've made the best new friends has been TikTok. I've made a couple like Vancouver friends, yourself in very much in this loop of like we connected online and then found out we all lived in Vancouver. So it was like, oh shit, okay, let's be friends. And I've made a couple really close friends that way.
Love that.
Yeah. So like there's inroads, but
Mhm.
but yeah, it's tough. It is tough. I wouldn't sugarcoat that at all.
Yeah, I am such a community member. I'm not here to toot my own horn, and if I do decide to tell everybody that I'm on a podcast and they're listening right now, fuck all of you for one. And number two, um, uh, I'm the kind of person that you can't walk downtown with because I will stop every other block. Like I am a well-known person, and
Yeah.
that's been a really difficult thing for me, because
Mm.
I feel like it comes with an expectation. Like people know of me before they meet me.
Yeah.
I have a presence online as well, and so they only see what I'm posting and stuff like that. And so it has been hard for me to like indulge and have fun when I'm first meeting people because I'm afraid that I just have to be
Mm.
this character. And so
Yep.
um, the anonymity that I have coming to Vancouver is really cool, but also at the same time, like I'm hoping to it's very ambitious, but I'm hoping to leave my mark here because I've
Mhm.
definitely left my mark in Victoria. Like you can't go there without somebody knowing me, and
Yeah.
so I would
Yeah.
love to be able to foster that kind of community situation here, which is going to take a lot of work.
Yeah. But it's worth it. It's
Yeah,
definitely
I've
worth it,
done
and
it
it's definitely
before.
doable too. There's a lot of
Mhm,
opportunity for it. So
mhm.
I'm right here with you. And that's really exciting. Like that's really exciting that that's your goal. Like I think that's
Yeah,
fabulous. And I think
I'm
you're very much in line to do just that. So.
yeah, again, I'm not trying to make my head seem big or anything. It's just
Why
I've
not?
I'm learning the fine line between being humble and also just being a fucking prick.
That's true. That's true. Although
Yeah.
I do find sometimes that the sort of like false demure, the like, oh, little old me, like sometimes that's just as annoying as somebody who's super
Yeah.
egotistical. And
But it's
like
just
there
like
is
it
an
is
ego
just
to that, right?
unfair. It's
Yeah.
unfair because like I'm so beautiful and so
Mm-hmm.
talented. So for me to
Mm-hmm.
also be a really genuinely good person, I
Right?
just
Right?
feel like it would be too much to consistently be saying that.
That's so good of you. That's just so
Mhm.
good of you. So big
Mhm.
hearted.
Thank you.
So I want to try something new with you. A couple weeks ago, I bought these decks of conversation starters. They're by Chuck Klosterman, who wrote Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs. He's made these two decks of cards. There's called Supertheticals and Hypertheticals, and basically they're just they're hypothetical questions to discuss. And I've been trying to incorporate them into the show. So I'm gonna read you one, and I want your read on this. Okay.
I'm so scared.
So hypothetical.
Uh-huh.
You're dead.
Oh,
That's the bad news. But here's the good news. There is an afterlife. You spend the first 500 years in existential solitude, relaxing and experiencing pleasure. You pay no attention to the world you left behind. But eventually, you look back down at Earth and see that this person is being worshipped as a deity. There are statues of them everywhere, and the world's most popular religion is built around their identity. What do you think happened over the past centuries? 5 centuries.
well, clearly, I was the thing standing in this deity's way, and
Mm-hmm.
so I had to be eliminated first before. So clearly, I was the world's biggest threat. So
Yep.
love
Yep.
that for me.
Yep.
Also, relaxing and in pleasure, just like 500 years of nut. Yeah.
I
Okay.
know. That sounds like
Okay.
paradise. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living. I feel like that's kind of already what I'm doing now. Hmm. That's That's so, especially because, like, again, religion and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It
There's
was the
so
hot
many
card.
fact.
As I pulled it, it was the hot card of the deck, so I pulled it out.
There's too many variables, like
Mm. Who do you think?
technology.
Maybe we could say, who do you think would be that deity figure?
Wow. I think it definitely would be some sort of media influencer that is like able to calm all the communities at the same
Sure,
time, which would
sure.
literally be impossible.
Yep.
Like impossible. So
Unless
it
there
would
was like
have
an
to be
EMP. What if there was like an EMP blast that killed the internet, and so we were left with whatever the last thing was, and you
Jojo
couldn't.
Siwa.
Right there, you go. Right, but we couldn't spread through the internet anymore. We just had what we remembered from it. And what if they like prayed with that like head whipping dance?
Yeah, yeah. Karma's a bitch. Um, shit. What do I think would have happened? Who would it be? Again, yeah, social media, or yeah, if there was a blast, if there was some sort of, it would have to be some leader, somebody that actually like took up the dirt. Like I don't think
Mm,
people would let shit slide these days. Like
mm.
the power doesn't necessarily come from who has the biggest gun. But but
For listeners, Beau just did the most audacious hair flick.
but recover, recover, recover. But like people are more moved by who's with us, not who's against us, like
Yes.
not putting down for power. And so I almost would wonder if it would be a harmonious thing. I wonder
Mm.
if but yeah, what if it was just like some anime nerd with
Mm.
like a store-bought katana?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mall
I don't really
ninja.
know how to like. Can you? Would it be rude to ask for a different question? Because I just don't feel. I don't feel
No.
connected to that. I don't feel connected
That's
to it.
fair. Well, you know what's interesting? Like, let me continue the thought with you though a little bit. Let's unpack this.
Hmm.
I think we have to stick with this one. I think we have to
Okay.
stay.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think
Okay.
the card's been drawn. We don't choose the card.
Okay, chef. Okay, chef.
Um, and I think that like I think in a few different directions because like I think if you had talked to me like 10 years ago, I would have said like it would be like Tom Cruise as the icon of Scientology because I would have thought that that would have like continued, but apparently that whole cult is like actually on its like last legs and it's really imploding. It just sort of presents an air of security when really it's like fucked. Also, it's crazy that Tom Cruise is the second most powerful person in that cult. Like if anything happens to that, what the fuck's his name? I always want to say David Koresh, but it's not. Whoever the leader of the Scientology is, if anything happens to him, Tom Cruise leads Scientology.
That's
Um,
insane.
right but like so I would have probably said someone like that but I think nowadays I think it's almost like I think there would be like almost like a return to like Greek pantheon style. I don't think that there
Hmm.
would be like one god. I think that there would be like a whole field of like you know yeah, Jojo Siwa is the god of this, and Drake is the god of this, and I don't know other influencers. Jenna Marbles is the god of this, or like
Gee.
whatever, right? I don't know. That's a really old YouTube reference. I don't even think that
Yeah.
that she even creates anymore. But
No,
like,
she doesn't.
right?
She
Yeah,
got shunned from the
Ninja is
internet.
the god of racism or something. I don't know. But like,
Mr. Beast,
right,
the
right,
god
Mr.
of
Beast, right? E-
gluttony.
Exactly, right, exactly. So I almost feel like if there were to be like a technological collapse, and we were building off of like what we remembered, we would return to a pantheon of gods, and so it
Mm,
would be more like there wouldn't be the singular icon, but there would be a group. Because I'm with you, I don't think that we're in a society that like we're too fractured, we're too segmented to the point where I don't think it would be possible to have one unifying figure.
yeah.
Because even big figures are too polarizing, like you've got these freaks who are like Daddy Musk is going to take me to Mars, and it's like no, 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 sweetheart, no, he's not. Right, um
Settle.
right, right, but um oh, I had a flash of a thought that escaped me now. But yeah, yeah, religion's a weird thing. It's a
Yes.
like I like the idea of spirituality. I consider
Hmm.
myself probably agnostic, I like, and I'll use terms like, the God of my understanding and things like that. Like I'm comfortable with that. I was also raised with no religion, so I don't have that part ingrained in me. So I can
Yeah.
see it much more like analytically, philosophically, metaphorically. And I know, you know, it sounds like you included. I know the vast majority of people have like lived experience traumas of words like religion, so
Hmm.
it's yeah, it can be tougher to unpack superthetically.
Yes. Very
uh,
that.
have you ever read the play, or have you ever heard of the play Mr. Burns?
No.
So it's like a post-apocalyptic world, and there's no TV, there's no anything, and a group of actors recreate Simpsons episodes from memory, and it kind of goes from there, and I feel like that's kind of what the world I'd envision would be if
Yeah.
the died. We'd like just retell like Charlie bit my finger, like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't we already do that? Like
exactly,
quoting vines all the time, all the
exactly,
time.
exactly. Make him wait for it. Boom.
Boom. Yeah.
I mean, literally for 10 years, straight men just repeated Anchorman lines back to each other, and that was
Correct.
comedy,
Now
so.
it's specials, whatever. Like, hey, brother, special news, special whatever. I don't know. Sports Network. I'm not onto that. I'm gay.
Last I checked, it was still Borat, so I don't know, but
No, there's some sort of new thing that's happening right now.
uh,
Special teams, special forces. I
oh,
couldn't tell you.
are the straights okay?
I haven't checked in.
Yeah, I worry about them sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Not really, but
I'm here for them.
right? Yeah. I'll I'm an ally, I'm a
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
ally, yeah.
yeah. I dabble here and there.
Right, yeah.
You get the
Um
loose one.
Beau, you are magic.
Thank you.
This has just been such a lovely introduction to you, and like I just, I've only got the one kind of wrap up question left, but I really want to say like thank you so much for just like taking the plunge and just signing up for
Absolutely.
this, like it really meant a lot to me, and your I wanted to say like your connection on TikTok has really meant a lot to me. You
Mm.
were the first like big account that like connected to me and was commenting on my stuff, and like, mutual, then was messaging me, and it just, I don't even know if you realize how much it meant to me, and like how
I was
much
born out of
I
thirst, dude.
hey, by any means, so right? you know
Perfect. Perfect.
right.
Perfect.
But like it was really validating. Even that's really validating, like thank you,
You're very
and
welcome.
right. And it just really, it was a motivating factor of like, okay, there's good people out here. There's people
Mm.
who are connecting to what I'm saying. There's people who are connecting, just looking at me. That's fine, like I love that, so like thank you. And
You're
I'm
welcome.
really excited to meet you in real life. I'm really
Mm.
excited to like to see where this friendship goes.
Yeah.
um Wrap up question, I always like to leave audiences with a little
What's
bit of
wrong
an
with you?
actionable step. So wait, someone say that again.
What's wrong with you?
But what's wrong with you? No.
Uh, well, I got a slew
that's
foot.
that's on the that's the Patreon interview.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
the sequel show. What's wrong with you? That, $5 a month on Patreon.
Yeah,
Actually, that's a
that
funny idea.
my whole fits.
Um, um, but I always like to leave them with something that they can try doing at home. So,
Mhm.
what is one thing you would recommend listeners try doing to be a better friend this week?
Mm, damn. Um, practice one of your love languages on yourself.
Mm.
Mhm. So if it is like an act of service, like do something that you would do for your friends, but for yourself. Like something. I have a very hard time with that. I don't treat myself the best, and so if I work on the things that bring me my most joy when I'm serving others and loving on others, why can't I do that for me? So I would recommend, yeah, cook yourself like a really tasty meal. Take yourself out. Like take your time when you're visiting yourself. We'll leave that there. Like just find something that really makes you connect to loving yourself, and couple it up with if maybe doing that for a friend as well.
Hmm. You heard it here first. Beau recommends you loosen that grip when you jerk off tonight.
Loosen your grip and take a little extra time.
Light some
It is not
candles.
it's not about the end result,
Yep.
it's how you're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to see it not as a task, as a journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
If you're
not. It's not about
if
product.
you're janking it because you're just going from A to Z, take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not telling
Mm-hmm.
my mom about this podcast.
Oh, oh, you are magic. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Um, where can listeners find you? Where would you like them to follow you? Do you have
Yeah.
anything else you want to plug? Anything like that?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's cowboybeau_. Um, I'm a film photographer. I'm very proud of that. If you are TikTok community, it's horse dad energy. I'm trying to do better with posting, and it's just my slice of life showing you what I've got going on. You can also listen to my one and only single. It's on all platforms under my legal name, which is Elijah. And the song is called Boy Trouble. And it is such a bop. I hate to toot my own horn once again, but it's heavy. It's heavy. It's great.
I love it. Oh, I'm gonna put that on right after this. Thank you so
Good.
much for that. And I will make sure all that is in the show notes. One more
Yeah.
time, Beau Schultz, you are an angel. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it. Thank you one more time to Beau for coming on the show. It was just such a pleasure getting to know them. It's the first time we've ever talked in real life. We've just chatted on TikTok for months, and now that they're in Vancouver, we are finally able to be real friends. And it was just such a pleasure and such an honor to get to know them a little bit better. Be sure to check out all of their art. I've included a couple links in the show notes to their music as well as to their Instagram, so go check them out. They're incredible. If you enjoyed this episode, you know what I'm going to say. Please give it a 5-star review wherever you listened. And if you want more Friendless content, be sure to sign up for the weekly Substack. You're going to get 5 fun distractions for the week. These are going to be anything from movies, books, music, TV shows, articles, all kinds of fun stuff. Just stuff that I've enjoyed that week. A curated poem from my ongoing challenge to read a book of poetry every week for the year, as well as a curated monthly playlist filled with all kinds of random music that I've been enjoying lately. I keep threatening to launch my subscription service, and that is coming soon. It's just taking time to develop the full plan and make sure that it's executed as well as possible right out the gate. So rather than kind of getting ahead of myself, I'm just making sure we're really crossing those I's, dotting those T's, all that stuff. But please stay on the lookout for that and consider signing up because it's going to be a lot of fun. I am absolutely brain dead at the moment, though, so I'm just going to wrap this up here. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope I will catch you back here next week. I have an incredible May lined up. This is just the start of it. You aren't going to want to miss it, but I'm not going to worry about that right now, and neither should you, because that is then, and this is now. So for now, all I'll say is I love you, and I wish you well. Fun and safety, sweeties.